BTS News Today. The night in Seoul was calm, yet inside a dimly lit practice room at HYB, one figure moved with quiet intensity. Dressed entirely in black, Jimin danced alone beneath a single light, his body speaking a language only he seemed to understand. There was no music playing aloud, yet every movement felt like a melody. That was the essence of his artistry, the evolution of a performer who had transformed from a hesitant teenager into one of the most expressive stage artists of his generation. BTS's Jimin is not merely a singer or dancer. He is a manifestation of transformation, from softness to strength, from classical beauty to bold, raw energy. Over the years, his performance style has become something that cannot be confined to one genre or one feeling. He has become a living story, told through every gesture and breath on stage. Looking back to the early days of his career, Jimin was known for his elegance and precision. His movements reflected a background in contemporary and ballet dance, clean, deliberate, and full of grace. When BTS debuted in 2013, their choreography overflowed with youthful energy and defiance. Yet, among the 7 charismatic members, Jimin stood out for a different reason: the tenderness in his motion. Even in songs like No More Dream and We Are Bulletproof PT2, where power and intensity were dominant, Jimin added an unexpected softness, turning brute force into art. But as the years passed, something within him began to shift. The world began to see not only a gifted dancer, but an artist with emotional depth. His tempo slowed, his gestures became more deliberate, and silence began to play as important a role as sound. By the time Blood, Sweat, and Tears arrived, his transformation had reached a new peak. Silk costumes, dim lighting, and sensual, fluid movements painted the struggle between temptation and guilt. Jimin was no longer just part of the choreography. He became its center, the axis around which the entire stage revolved. When he danced, time seemed to stop. In every music video and live performance, audiences saw something beyond technical perfection. They saw emotion, sorrow, longing, even fear flickered across his face, each glance telling a story. That is what made Jimin's performance style unique. He didn't just dance, he narrated the complexity of human emotion through his body. During BTS's grand concert tours, Love Yourself, Map of the Soul, every time Jimin stepped forward for a solo stage, the atmosphere shifted completely. He had a way of turning enormous arenas into intimate spaces where millions felt as though he was speaking directly to them. In Serendipity, it wasn't just love he was expressing, but self-discovery. As he bent slowly, gazing into the light with a soft smile, the audience sensed a man having a quiet conversation with his own heart. The message was clear: to love someone else, you must first have the courage to love yourself. Yet Jimin's evolution didn't end there. Just as the world began to associate him with tenderness and grace, he broke that mold. In Black Swan, his movements grew sharper, more fragmented, as if his body was haunted by the fear of losing meaning. Each broken motion whispered a truth: art dies when it stops being honest. Jimin carried that philosophy into every performance, turning his stage presence into a reflection of his own artistic conscience. When BTS began their individual journeys and Jimin released his solo work, the world witnessed another transformation. In Set Me Free PT2, he appeared darker, heavier, and more commanding than ever before. The leather outfit, the harsh lighting, the bold choreography, everything screamed liberation. Jimin was shedding his past image. He was no longer trapped between softness and power. He had become both. This evolution, however, came from a place of deep introspection. In interviews, Jimin often confessed that such changes were born from inner conflict, the struggle between public expectations and personal truth. Behind his serene smile lay exhaustion, the weight of perfectionism. But it was precisely from that pressure that his artistry grew more honest, raw, and personal. That in recent performances, whether at Inkigeo, M Countdown, or international stages, fans have noticed something different. Jimin no longer performs to impress. He performs to exist. And in that calm presence lies his greatest power. In Like Crazy, every expression carries a shadow of memory, like pieces of his past clinging to him. He moves not to dazzle, but to remember. One of the most defining moments in Jimin's artistic evolution came during BTS's Tiny Desk concert. There were no flashing lights, no elaborate stage effects, only a microphone, a small space, and his voice. Yet, the performance was spellbinding. That was Jimin in his purest form, an artist who could make even the smallest room feel as vast as the world. Today, Jimin represents the perfect balance between technical precision and emotional authenticity. He dances with academic mastery, but expresses with disarming humanity. Critics have called him a thinking dancer, someone whose body is guided by reflection rather than routine. Through him, contemporary dance has entered global pop culture, turning from mere entertainment into a profound form of self-expression. His evolution is also evident in how he interacts with the stage and camera. Once careful and restrained, he now plays with space and silence. He uses stillness as rhythm, eye contact as dialogue, and sudden bursts of motion as explosions of emotion. During Yet to Come, one of BTS's final performances before their individual hiatus, Jimin's demeanor was almost spiritual. He wasn't just performing. He was saying goodbye to his former self. Now, as the world anticipates BTS's reunion after their military service, fans know Jimin will return changed once again. His artistry continues to evolve, not because he's chasing trends, but because he's growing as a person. He no longer fears change. For to Jimin, change is simply another form of truth. In his eyes, we can see traces of the long journey. From the boy who studied ballet in Busan to the global stage performer he is today, standing tall yet humble. He has turned his body into a language, a universal one that transcends words. Perhaps that's why Jimin remains so relevant, even after years at the top. He doesn't strive to be the best version of his past. He strives to be the truest version of his present. In an industry obsessed with perfection, his honesty is his rebellion. Jimin has changed, yet never lost his essence. He is no longer just a member of BTS, nor merely a singer or dancer, but a storyteller. Every gesture a narrative, every glance a secret, every breath a reminder that true art never stops evolving. Jimin has become the language itself, and the world can only watch in awe as he continues to write new chapters in an artistic journey that has no end.
Give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see.